Romantic novels are frequently dismissed as the literary equivalent of fast food. But in this series, I have been arguing that these books are seriously nutritious.
Your stress levels went down to absolutely zero, which is unusual, I have to say. So they might be what we call...
They make women's lives more bearable. They provide them with men who otherwise don't exist. And most important of all, they give women the sense that anything is possible. The heroines of these books are more than fictional characters. They are many women's alter egos.
Mr. Darcy.
And we are right to be a nation of heroin addicts. What I love about romantic fiction is the way that it teaches women to be heroines in their own lives. I don't think I'd have got through my own personal dramas, such as getting married, having children, having a career, if it hadn't been for the inspiration of women like Jane Eyre, Emma Woodhouse, even Scarlett O'Hara. And the great thing about books like these is that they show women that they can be in control of their own stories.
A really good romance writer shows women who are strong and powerful, and she gives you confidence and a sense of the possibilities of being a female.
Although these books are often seen as being quite anti-feminist, I think they're about strong women doing it for themselves, and only when they've made themselves better or made their lives happier do they then find love.
Would I say that Scarlett O'Hara has changed my life? Yes, because without her, without that character running through my subconscious, the essence of her personality, I don't think I would have had the balls, shall we say, to jump up and start my own business.
You can read a romance by identifying with the protagonist, and in a sense that is what romantic fiction or romantic reading is. We become the I, the first person. We leap into the book. That's not what used to happen. When people read Homer, they didn't immediately see themselves as Penelope. So that idea of identifying very strongly is part of the invitation, how it seduces you.
The romantic heroine as we know her today was born in the early 19th century. True, there had been romantic novels before this, but their heroines were women who were always having things done to them. You'd have to be downtrodden indeed to identify with this lot. The first Gothic novel, The Castle of Otranto, was published in 1764 by Horace Walpole. Its story is that of a maiden bride attempting to escape the lascivious clutches of her would-be father-in-law, punctuated by supernatural events involving oversized limbs, blood and ghosts.
If I was to give you a sort of beginner's guide to the Gothic novel, obvious features to flag up would be things like a ruined castle, a crumbling abbey, probably frequented by all sorts of ghosts or hooded monks. But of course, central in this sort of landscape is the heroine. Who is a young woman, a virgin, usually removed from the protection of her parents, and vulnerable amidst these threatening surroundings.
Isabella runs through the cloisters. She recollects a subterranean passage that leads to the Church of St. Nicholas.
I must flee this terrible man.
The passage is dark.
Where am I? Where am I? Ah!
Isabella is not the only fugitive in the cloisters.
What is that? Ah! It must be the ghost of Conrad. Oh, woe is me.
I don't have much time for the heroines of those 18th century Gothic novels who are constantly finding something nasty in the woodshed and getting the vapours. I find them a bit spineless, and I suspect Jane Austen must have felt the same because she sends that kind of book up mercilessly in Northanger Abbey.
My dear Miss Morland, has reading one silly novel unbalanced your judgment so completely?
The heroine of Northanger Abbey learns the folly of confusing romantic fiction with real life when she almost loses the man she loves because of it. But while Jane Austen was satirising the heroines of the past, she was also creating a heroine for the future.
If I could love a man who would love me enough to take me for a mere £50 a year, I should be very well pleased.
In my opinion, Elizabeth Bennet is Jane Austen's greatest creation. She's the heroine we all want to be. Elizabeth is headstrong, opinionated, but above all, charming.
Obstinate, headstrong girl, I'm ashamed of you. Tell me once and for all, are you engaged to him? I am not. And will you promise me never to enter into such an engagement?
I will make no promise of the kind, and I must beg you not to importune me any further on the subject.
Not so hasty, if you please. I have another objection.
I think Elizabeth's every modern woman's heroine, actually, because she's a self-determined woman. She's a woman who actually wins on her own terms. She's a very mature person. She's capable of growing up.
She personifies the thing that gives hope to us all, which is we don't have to be the most beautiful creature in the world to get the Mr. Darcys owning half of Derbyshire. Our attraction can come from wit and intelligence and originality of thinking.
It makes you feel better about yourself after having read it, because you think, I could be like that too. I can be that strong. I can make those decisions.
I think initially when you read romantic fiction as a teenager, you're not actually looking at the men in the books, but you're looking at the girls, and you want to be like the women in the books. So you're not kind of thinking, oh, one day that prince is going to come for me, but you're thinking, one day I'm going to be that princess.
Women in books need to be strong, because if you read them and the woman's downtrodden and everything, it doesn't give you a good feeling. But if you read the book and she's powerful and she's out there doing it, you feel like you could do it too.
Elizabeth Bennet's independence of mind is all the more remarkable given that women's lifestyle choices in Regency England entirely depended on men.
The whole of the 19th century, marriage was a career for women, so it was seen as the fulfilment of a very proper female ambition. So, of course, it was quite natural to translate that into a book. I mean, women were extravagantly dependent, legally, socially, appallingly dependent. They were their husbands' chattels.
If you wanted to find a husband in Jane Austen's time, one of the best places to go was the Assembly Rooms in Bath. Jane Austen lived in Bath between 1801 and 1806, and she observed the ruthless flirting and matchmaking that went on firsthand.